What's up? We are back this week in White Supremacy. If this is your first time, welcome. Did you cut the clip off?
Nope.
Oh, wow. Okay. And if this is you've been watching over and over again, welcome back. And if you are over 60,
oh shit!
Oh my God!
We love you too. We love everybody. Facts. We love our entire audience at This Week in White Supremacy. Well, at least I do. He's a hater. Too. There's a hater over here on the other side. We'll get to him. My name is Jasiri X. I'm co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media. And to my immediate right,
it's a miracle.
Nails immaculate as always. What's up, Miracle?
Thank you. It is Mercury retrograde. It has done a number. It's only 24 hours. I'm over it. Like, mashallah, yes. Miracle is not here. It's Moody Miracle.
Moody Miracle.
I need to be in the house. Why am I outside? Miracle. Like, no. But I'm here.
You're here. And we're going to be on the road as well. We're going to the heart
of racism.
The heart of Oklahoma. We're going to Tulsa to connect with our ancestors, Miracle. Come on, it's going to be dope. Across from me, my brother.
It's your boy, Trevor, and the Let's Never Like Supremacy. Niggas love seniors.
Oh, wow. Niggas love seniors. I love that. We do love seniors as well. We do have another black male segment coming up as well at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that.
Okay.
And then my brother.
The senior assassin is damaging.
It's what?
It's damaging.
The senior assassin. Do you have to assassinate a senior though?
Yeah,
come on, brother.
I mean,
come on, man.
Close enough.
Yeah, just let nature take its course. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, it's me. Scarborough's Ayatollah is dope. The Supreme Asiatic Intelligently Divine.
Yes.
That's your best friend.
The brother Saeed. I mean, we're a inclusive podcast.
Anybody can get it.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
But we're inclusive in terms of we appreciate everybody that watches, our audience. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate the support of Free Speech TV. But, we are, one of the few
proud
shows on Free Speech TV that has the predominantly black cast. So did we earn that? Or are we an example of DEI? Are we the DEI Free Speech podcast? Is that what we are? So for those that don't know, white people are, I don't know if it's been Mercury retrograde in the white racist world.
Distributed entirely inclusive.
They're raging. Like, white people are raging right now to the point of it's been insanity, you know what I'm saying? But the idea, so, for those that, and you should know by now, a barge hit a bridge in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And that bridge collapsed. Unfortunately, people were killed. Immigrant workers were killed specifically. And so for whatever reason, that's a tragedy, right? And we're here in Pittsburgh. We had a bridge collapse last year. Like, we had people injured on that bridge. So we kind of can empathize. And for whatever reason, as soon as white people saw the face of the Baltimore mayor, a city that's predominantly black, a young black mayor, that was triggering to all the racist white people. And all of a sudden, he's now the DEI mayor. Mm-hmm. And to these white people, DEI means didn't earn it. Mm-hmm. So despite campaigning, having people come out to vote, the voters voting for him, you know what I'm saying? We were told that he's a DEI mayor simply because it's black. That kind of went viral, and people began to put all types of different conspiracy theories in the mix. He actually responded on Joy Reid's show on MSNBC to these commentary and critiques that he is a, quote, DEI mayor.
You choose to do so to respond to the tomfoolery and attacks on you for having the nerve to be black and also a mayor.
Well, I think, listen, I I know, and we all know, and you know very well, that black men and young black men in particular have been the boogeyman for those who are racist and think that only straight, wealthy white men should have a say in anything. We've been the boogeyman from them since the first day they brought us to this country. And what they mean by DEI, in my opinion, is duly elected incumbent. We know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them, because me being at my position means that their way of thinking, their way of life of being comfortable and suffering, and while everyone else suffers, is going to be at risk, and they should be afraid, because that's my purpose in life.
Wow.
Will allow
wow. So powerful words from the mayor of Baltimore. What's the brother's name? The mayor of Baltimore?
Randy?
Yeah, Brandon Scott, right?
Brandon Scott.
Yeah.
So then DI, basically, you know, of course, black people on Twitter or X or whatever we want to call it, you know, we're going to have our fun, and, you know, because we know what you really want to say. You want to say this is a nigga. But again, like, why? Hard R, right? So then you use DI. So then people started to exchange DI for nigga in some popular rap songs, which was pretty funny.
DEI to the day I die.
DI to the day I die. So
I arrive from my DEIs.
Absolutely. So Miracle,
my DEIs.
coming to you. I mean,
spin the block for my DEIs.
Is DI kind of the replacement now for CRT? And again, kind of like what Mayor Scott says, is this just another attempt to just demonize anybody black and brown, coming from the right, you know, white supremacist wing of the GOP party?
You know, we have to give the racists credit, because we told them like 3 years ago they had no like originality. And so now like every 6 months they have to come up with like a new phrase to reference black people, whether it's woke, CRT, DI, it'll be something new in another few months.
Right.
But yes, this is their way of trying to galvanize and motivate their white base into this white lash that Van Jones talks about,
right,
so that they feel like they're aggrieved and have the right to go out and do harm. And it's really ridiculous, because the truth of the matter is what happened in Baltimore is a reflection of what happens when you deregulate industries.
Absolutely.
When you stop doing inspections that somehow happen because billionaires buy elected officials, because they want to increase their bottom line, and then these elected officials go out and they change the rules and regulations so that more industries can do things that kind of make us unsafe. You know, look at Boeing, look at these airplanes. You know, for the first time, we really have to worry. Well, you know, my bad, because we got to get.
Oh yeah, we got to get on the plane. We do have to look and see what type of plane that is. Is this a Boeing? Oh, it's a Boeing. Oh shit! Oh god! Pray for us, please.
You know, hopefully we have a wheel and a door tomorrow.
But
you know,
with Boeing, but just to touch on that, like these same people are saying, "Oh, Boeing. The reason Boeing is like that is because of DEI, right?" Again, not these white men who took over and basically said, instead of worrying about making the best planes, we're going to try to make the most money. It's just like, where does it end? Like, right. It's like every tragedy or anything that happens now, is the call going to be DI? And then can I go back? Can I go like in retrograde, I guess? And can I say, oh, the Titanic, because there wasn't no black people there, that was y'all tragedy, white people? I mean, like,
all tragedies matter.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
All
so, like,
tragedies matter.
It like, how do we combat this?
I think you just do what both Mayor Brandon and Governor West did, is just ignore it, talk about it's like foolishness, and do the work. But the truth of the matter is, if you've ever been black in any type of space,
true,
someone has always second guessed you. Someone has always said that you don't deserve to be there. And someone has always found a way to make you feel like you're uncomfortable and out of place because you're in a position of power that they have deemed only for white people. And what I find very interesting is when affirmative action was struck down by the Supreme Court, everyone said, well, now we'll know whether or not if people earn their place. But how in the world is someone who ran for office, who got the majority of the vote, being reduced to DEI. I think it shows that people are really grasping at straws because they do not want to see non-white people in positions of power. And now you've got like Beyonce taking over country music, and you have a lot of black artists doing more rock and roll. True. And so you're having this, cultural awakening really throughout the country. And so we're back into this like 2000s culture war, but instead of it being about religion, it's about race right now. So this is just where we find ourselves.
We do. And I mean, and for the record, country music is also founded by black people. You know what I'm saying? If it's a music genre in America,
absolutely,
black people started it, black people did it. So it's not, Beyonce is just really touching on the roots of black music. You know what I'm saying? She's not appropriating the damn thing. You know what I'm saying? Particularly as a black woman from Houston. Any other comments from you, Farouk, or Trouble in regards to DEI? Didn't earn it?
I mean, to me, DEI is starting to stand for Dicky and Incels.
Indeed.
They have a lot to say because they feel threatened that their power is,
1,000%.
Yeah, like kind of slipping out of their hands. But it's like, a really good point was brought up yesterday during our We Keep Us Safe session, which was like, don't people who get hired have to be qualified for the job that they're hired for?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like DEI is just a protection for the people who get hired for the jobs that they're qualified for to make sure, hey, we're going to make sure that you can be integrated into this job and feel welcomed. We're not just hiring you because you're of color. You know what I'm saying?
But at the same time, it is also about a culture, a corporate culture, and a culture in this country of people being hired only because they were white men, right?
Yep.
You had studies come out to say that a black person with a college degree was less likely to get a job than a white person with a high school diploma, right? And so again, here's somebody that went to a 4-year institution, research, study, got a degree, but because of the color of our skin, we still don't have those opportunities, right? There's always been a thing in corporate America called a glass ceiling, where if you're black or a woman, you couldn't crack a certain area in that corporation because that was only reserved for white men. You had, we're talking about, if you are a sports fan, the Masters coming up. You had these golf clubs and these societies and these clubs that were only for white men, right? There were even some aspects that if you're Jewish, you couldn't get in, right? These were only for white men. And so DEI is an attempt, when you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, an attempt to correct centuries of white men being able to get into these positions that literally did not earn it, right? You're there, you're at this college because of legacy. Like W. Bush didn't have good grades, right? You got into Yale because the Bushes ran Yale. They gave money to Yale, right? You know what I'm saying? And so again, this is something that is interesting. It's almost like somebody being triggered because you're seeing now that like we're getting these opportunities that you had always gotten and didn't have to work for. So it's really like white people being mad that you have to compete with black people. You have to compete with brown people. You have to compete with Asian people. You have to compete with women. And these white men that were so used to being walked into these spaces of power with no pushback. Now we giving y'all pushback. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like to make an analogy for that, it almost sounds like they're seeing us make the goal at the goalpost that they moved.
Yes.
Tried to move so far.
1,000%.
Yes. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And they're like, oh, fuck, like they're actually scoring now.
Think about, you know what I'm saying, like 400 years of chattel slavery. And like, we shouldn't be where we are now, but we are, and we're looking at about like how do we build power? How do we build economic power? How do we build political power? So when you look at Baltimore, you look at Maryland, you're seeing an example of black people that built political power to put black people in these positions of power, and then now leading to economic power for black people in that area. And that's something that white people don't want to see. How do we know? Shit, look at Rosewood. We're about to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where black people were just chilling and thriving and doing our own thing, and just our success enraged white people to the point where they had to attack us, kill us, and then burn the whole shit down, right?
I got to make it really quick Gen Z reference for those following us. If any Gen Zers are watching this, it's almost like
next level shade.
It's almost like we are the Rock Lees of the fight, and they tried to put weights on our hands. But once we took the weights off, they realized, oh fuck, that only made them faster and stronger.
1,000%. I think what you just did, Treble, was millennial mansplain. But we're going to let you slide on that one. Farouk, you have anything you want to add?
I mean, that's tough to follow what you two just said, but I mean, the angle I would take with this is that a lot of this language and rhetoric is just repackaged shit from the 90s.
1,000%.
That was present around the presence of affirmative action when black people started becoming in the positions. And that was actually the crux of the entire movie, American History X. If anybody remembers, that was,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? The dad from Boy Meets World was like, well, there's a firefighter that's black or whatever, and he's like, no, I have to trust somebody who didn't earn it, who, you know what I mean, who got in off of affirmative action, who was an affirmative action hire.
Right.
And you find this today, and it exists, and I think that it's less so about black people having positions, it's more so black people challenging to step outside their designated station as deemed by white supremacy.
Wow.
Like,
Come on, brother.
if we're not, if we're athletes or if we're entertainers, fine. Shut up and dribble, but like, fine. You know what I mean? But you're still running a ball.
Right.
You're still performing something that we believe is a menial or labor task.
Yes.
But the moment these black people dare to challenge the system and the establishment and step outside it, or jump into the realm of politics and be excellent, jump into corporate America and be excellent, jump into law or academia and any of these forums and champion themselves and be excellent, and then command change and then influence something, influence an uprising or revolution that's counter to what the status quo is, then all of a sudden you didn't earn the place to be here. Now all of a sudden you don't belong with us. Now we have to check your credentials. Now we have to see if you're an American citizen. Now we have to see all of these things. This litany of this checks and balances system that didn't exist for you.
And it makes me wonder too, like, what do these like black Republicans, like, how do they feel? You know what I'm saying? Because like,
you had a great take about this.
Are they like DEI as well? Like, I mean, they technically are, right? A lot of it is like a black person that is a black face parroting white supremacists. But do we now then look at Tim Scott? Is he a DEI senator, right? Is some of these other people that Trump is considering as a vice president, are they DEI individuals, right? Did Ben Carson get to his position because of DEI, right? Do we start questioning, do all black people get questioned? Or is it only those that we don't agree with politically or ideologically? And this is the wild part. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had something to say, Miracle?
I was going to let you finish.
If there was a poster child for didn't earn it, if there was like when you got in the dictionary and you saw didn't earn it, you saw a face, it probably would be somebody that got $1 million loan from their father, right?
Right. A small loan of $1 million.
A small loan of $1 million, right? Somebody that went bankrupt time and time again, right?
Yeah.
9, 7, a lot of times, right? Somebody that like would lie, would call up, pretend to be a press secretary and tell lies to the paper about his quote unquote accomplishments, right? Somebody that inflated purposely the value of his properties to appear wealthier than he is, causing him to be found guilty of fraud and have a $454 million judgment, right? The face of didn't earn it should be Donald Trump. I mean, in my opinion. Now, again, here's Donald Trump getting another like more white privilege when he was told you didn't have to pay the full $554 million judgment. You only have to pay, I think it was $175 million. And so Donald Trump did get a lifeline. He got a bond that he didn't earn, right? For $175 million. It says staving off a financial crisis. So he doesn't have to sell Mar-a-Lago. He doesn't have to sell Trump Tower. What does this mean? Is this, again, Trump miracle? You've said from the beginning, he will not see any type of real justice. And all of the wild bullshit that he has done. What do you think about this? Him being able to secure a bond for $175 million.
I think it's very interesting. that he was able to secure this bond and this investment from Jeffrey Yass, who was
what it was?
It's basically been his like sugar daddy.
That's been his sugar daddy.
His like billionaire sugar daddy. He was like, "How much money do you need? I will help you.
True.
I will invest in you."
Right.
But I do think that this is once again a double standard. Not only was he able to get the amount that he had to put up reduced, he was also going on a tangent against one of the judge's own children.
1,000%,
and
yes.
talking about their daughter.
Yes.
And all you got was this conversation of like, how can we get him to stop talking about this judge's child?
Yes.
When in reality, you know that when you were on trial, you're not allowed to talk about your judge
Yes.
or the family. You're not allowed to talk about the case, especially when you have a gag order. And so or when you've been told
Yes.
not to talk about the case. And so what we're really seeing is him pushing every single line.
Yes.
Because nobody wants to be the one to deal with white supremacy. Nobody
Right.
wants to be the one to be like, sir, you've gone too far. And so when we're talking about why are so many people white supremacists, why do so many people cling to white supremacy, why do so many people uplift white supremacy,
Right.
we're seeing it in real time because it allows you to break the rules.
True.
It protects you until it's ready to spit you out and move on to the next person.
Right.
And we're seeing the benefits of that, like, in real time.
Right. This is the real, like, in terms of like when people talk about like DEI, this is the real thing, right? Like, here's a man with 91 felonies that's allowed to just walk around, right? He's talk about, he was like, we need more law and order. Sir, do you know you have 91 felonies? Like, what do we?
Law and order.
Law and order? Like, what are we talking about?
What is your definition of law and order?
So you mentioned the judge overseeing his criminal hush money trial. This is where he paid off the porn star. Not first issued a gag order and then had to expand the gag
Paying
order.
off a porn star and gag order in the same sentence is crazy. That's diabolical.
That's kind of exactly what it is.
There's a
right?
joke in there, but
Yeah, the jokes write themselves.
Is it jokes? The
You
jokes
are
write
intelligent
themselves.
to write
Right.
this show or to watch this show. Go ahead.
But like you said, Trump has always attacked all of these judges on all of these cases, right? Has always attacked all the DAs, whoever's prosecuting them on those cases, and also now is going after their family. So he went after the judge's daughter, and he's been going after the family of Alvin Bragg, the DA. And so he actually issued a Easter message.
An ether message.
Easter message. Would you like to read his Easter message, Farouk?
I don't even know if I could read this full thing in the Trump voice.
Can you do it, brother?
Man, this is crazy. From his Truth Social account on Easter in the afternoon. So this is probably right on Easter in the afternoon. So this is probably right after the time
All
people
caps,
got out
too.
of church.
All caps.
He always types in all caps.
Yeah.
how do you know that?
Because everything I've ever read from him
Okay.
on the
I
show
was
has been in all
asking.
caps.
Oh, wow.
I mean, don't you proofread his shit, Miracle?
No, I have nothing to do with this stuff.
Wow. She just handles the briefs.
Where?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah,
When you
yeah.
see
For the
it.
social media.
He says, "Happy Easter to all."
He starts it off, right? Including?
It's so jovial, and then it just goes straight into attacks.
Violence.
Yeah,
He chose violence on the day
he did, man.
Christ was resurrected.
He said, "You have risen, I have risen." Happy Easter to all, including crooked and corrupt prosecutors and judges that are doing everything possible to interfere with the presidential election of 2024 and put me in prison, including those many people that I completely and totally despise because they want to destroy America, a nation, a failing nation like deranged Jack Smith, who is evil and sick Miss Fannie Fawny Wade, who said she hardly knew that special prosecutor only to find out they spent years loving her. He emptied the clip. Oh, man, but long before the Georgia persecution of President Trump began, and thereby making the case against me null and void and illegal, so illegal, nasty lady, and lazy on violent crime, Alvin Bragg, who with Crooked Joe's DOJ thugs, every single one of them, they look at me in the eyes and they can't stand up because they're so short, unfairly working in the DA's office, illegally indicted me on a case he never wanted to bring, and virtually all legal scholars say is a case that should not be brought, is breaking the law down. So Pomerantz was turned down by all other law enforcement authorities is not a crime. Happy Easter, everyone. God bless America.
I mean, again, I wonder, like, if I was somebody like now that was on trial and had a gag order, I'm doing the same thing. And it's almost like, because if you're going to try to put me back in jail or put charges on me, and this man could just he has millions and millions and millions of followers, and he's also have followers that actually have harmed people. I mean, Donald Trump put a video out that showed a clip of Joe Biden hogtied in the back of a pickup truck.
If that would have happened, would that say more about his followers or less about the Secret Service?
If Biden was tied up and hogtied?
Yeah, if like they were actually able to get to Joe Biden.
I mean, it would say a lot. I mean, but again, they almost got to Michael Pence.
Right,
they almost got to all the senators. Like, they came very close to getting into they breached the Capitol.
I feel like before we go to blaming the Secret Service, we should probably take a few steps back.
Yes. And say, like, and legal scholars have said that this is actually a violation of Trump's, like, bail. That it is.
You're threatening a seated president.
Right.
Remember they raided Eminem's studio for his George Bush lyrics.
Yes.
Yes. How is he just like indemnified? He's literally doing whatever he wants, man.
He's doing whatever. He's when you talk about, like, seeing somebody get away with anything.
The only thing he hasn't done yet is murder.
Like, he is the boogeyman for the Democratic Party.
He really is. Yeah.
Yes.
And so it doesn't do anyone any justice.
Your hair is super cute today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, and he would be. I mean, if he's talking about hogtying the president, the person he's running against, that's very boogeymanish behavior.
And so I don't think he does anyone any justice if he is locked up.
Right.
The problem with Trump is that he has a pattern or practice of basically using his social media and his platform to encourage his followers to do certain things. And we have 100%. Seen the January 6th.
Yes.
We have even
You're not insinuating this is like a cult, are you?
We have I'm actually insinuating it's even more nefarious because we've seen with the attempt in Michigan,
right,
that when he puts targets on people's backs, people actually act.
What's the more nefarious than a cult?
A murdering group of people who are intentionally trying to harm. I mean, not all cults, unalive
like an army type of. I mean,
like a militia.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's like I would say this is like a religious cult. Militia.
I would call it miracle. To call it a cult is a little bit. I mean,
he said cult. I said militia.
I mean, it's not
army,
like it's not
religion.
It's not like they have their own Bibles, right? It's not like this guy is like selling Bibles. Like, I mean, again, like, imagine you didn't write this book. That's all I'm trying to say.
You can't convince him he didn't.
You didn't write the Bible.
He said every American needs to have a Bible in their house.
A God Bless America Bible that he's selling for $60.
Is that different than the King James Version?
It's the King Trump version, right? You know what I'm saying? And again, like, during Easter week, I mean, and these people are buying. They're buying.
Yo, when you connect the dots on that is not. First off, they made a golden statue of Donald Trump.
They made a golden statue of this man.
National.
No, it wasn't the Republican.
No, it was the conservative.
Yes. What's the thing called?
CPAC. Yeah, the conservative. Political Action Conference. Yeah. So they had a golden statue of Donald Trump.
But you're not supposed to make any graven images.
Well, they're not reading the Bible. They're
not remember what happened when Moses was on the mountain and he left Aaron in charge. And when Aaron was in charge and all the followers made the golden calf.
Yes.
Moses came back and put hands on Aaron and said, "Hey, you were supposed to control these people."
Yes.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Aaron was like, "I don't know. They said they wanted the old gods back. I don't know." God was pretty upset.
Yes.
He was pretty upset. And what happened? He knocked down a mountain.
Yes.
In response to them having the golden calf. So what the people do? They built the golden calf of Trump.
Yes.
And it was made in Mexico.
Yes. and now are buying his Bibles.
And now he's selling a Bible during Resurrection Weekend.
What in the hell?
Called the God Bless America?
The God Bless America Bible.
That's blasphemous as fuck,
bro.
Right.
But they don't care because they're not Christian, bro. They're white supremacists.
1,000%. And also, it's because Trump needs money for all of these cases.
But selling them at 60 a pop, how many are you really getting?
But think about this. Like, he's raising money. According to the New York Times, he's already used $100 million in donations for legal expenses. They put a GoFundMe out for this dude to pay his $454 million. And Trump is just laughing at these buffoons, man.
Laughing to the bank, man.
No, he is laughing at them, but he knows. I think back to your point, Miracle. He knows that they're willing to have violence if he was arrested, or if something was to happen in one of these cases and he has to go to jail. What happens then? And like you said, I think, like, on one hand, Democrats like having a boogeyman, but isn't there like a real threat of violence if this man is put in jail?
Again, as our lovely writer last time liked to say, had the Senate and the Congress and the House of Representatives did their job
and convicted,
we wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah,
correct.
And all of these people would have had a hobby to find.
Yeah.
But instead, we are here, and it's almost
I think some of them found their hobbies.
And it's almost
it was shitting on the walls. That's what they found.
And it's almost like spending the last 2 years trying to harm people through policies and not actually elevate and center Black, brown, queer, immigrant people has almost emboldened, some would say, these
some
folks.
would say that, yeah.
So that violence is probably inevitable.
Yeah. Right. And again, when Trump has a gag order that he's continuing to flaunt or to basically dismiss as he goes on rant after rant after rant, they were saying like he was pulling up fake tweets from the judge's daughter. Coming with lie after lie after lie. He's tweeting Joe Biden hogtied.
Maybe that's some sexual shit. I don't know. Some BDSM shit. I don't know. Maybe Trump. He likes his acronyms.
Well,
MAGA, BDSM.
Actually,
who knows?
Listen to this, guys. Now, this is exclusive.
Siri said, "Get back on track."
From Axis. Yeah, let's come on, man.
Hey, I'm just saying,
move it back.
He said, "We're not making up no more days."
It says that
I got a few.
It says that the Trump Justice Department, this is Axis, said Trump allies plot anti-white racism protections for white people. That if Trump gets into office, that he would dramatically change the government's interpretation of civil rights era laws to focus on, quote, anti-white racism.
Whoa.
That it says Trump's policies targets would range from decade-old policies aimed at giving minorities economic opportunities to more recent programs that began in response to the pandemic and killing of George Floyd. So it said President Trump has said all staff offices and initiatives connected to Biden's un-American policies will be immediately terminated.
And let this right here be your proof that you are so desperately clamoring for, all you Black Trumpers that say he's never spoken down or done anything to harm Black Americans. Here's your proof.
Yeah.
They'll do this and it'll take them all of 6 months to say, oh, there's nothing to do because none of this money was really even spent on Black communities anyways. Right. You had all of these programs pop up and say, we're going to rectify this thing, we're going to rectify that thing, and the money actually never materialized. Whether it was the corporate handout, whether it was the support. People have been talking about the first wave of jobs of people who got fired all throughout industries were the people who were hired right after George Floyd.
Right.
A lot of the DEI offices, whether it's the one in the White House to the one of corporations, have been removed. We saw,
which is crazy. The White House removing the DEI offices.
Yeah.
With the writers' strike, we saw a lot of Black and brown TV shows and movies get shelved. People get fired. Like, we have just seen it, and they're just basically going to be wasting their time because,
Yeah, but I mean, again, I think, like you said, like it's interesting, and again, people have this cultish following, and a lot of times, like you said, a lot of these Black people who are genuflecting to Donald Trump, right, that are like kneeling at his feet, believe that they'll be spared, right? That they'll be the Black people that have access to power, that they'll be the Black people that be okay, and it's the other Black people that'll be the victims of these policies, not thinking about how it could affect their own children and their own relatives. But they're also talking about this Project 2025, right? They're talking about dramatically reshaping the government. And again, this is something that we have to consider and think about, even as we are being critical of the Biden administration for the policies that they're doing right now. And I believe we can do both. I believe we can be critical of the Biden administration right now, critical of those lack of resources, right? Critical of not enough student loans being disqualified, right? Critical of not following up on a lot of your policies. Definitely critical of more secret weapons going to Israel in the midst of what we're seeing taking place in Gaza during Ramadan. So I think we can be critical of that, and also aware that a Trump presidency would mean, like, shit, we might be hog-tied.
But I also think that when we talk about Project 2025, what is our response to Project 2025? When we're talking about mobilizing voters and giving voters something to vote for and having them galvanize around issues, what is the response to all of these programs? We keep hearing Trump is going to take your rights away. Trump is going to take elections away. All of these things. The next step in that is to have a plan. So what is our Project 2026 or 2024, right? I think that's one thing. Another thing is when we're talking about Black Republicans, there is this gay Black Republican. His name is Rob Smith. And he, like a few weeks ago, announced that he was leaving the Republican Party because there was like some event and people were calling him slurs and almost assaulted him. And so there is this idea that there are some Black
Did he realize that his DEI membership had been revoked?
It was revoked, right? But there's the people who are a part of the Republican Party who are also realizing that the power that they want to be the one in charge. Because I would also argue that it's not necessarily people who feel that they're going to be protected by white supremacy. It's people who want to replicate white supremacy and have power over somebody else, who are also very attracted to the Republican Party right now. They are starting to see that they're not going to be able to get that power. And that is probably more why you're going to see a lot of Black Republicans moving away, maybe creating their own thing or just sitting out the election.
Well, you know who else said they were done with the Republican Party? Your fave. Scam God. George Santos said he was no longer seeking the Republican line and he was going to run as an independent. He's no longer a Republican.
I think in Florida too, right?
He said the Republican Party continues to lie and swindle its voter base. Imagine being too crooked and corrupt for George Santos.
What a life that is.
But I think he's going to run. Isn't he running didn't he move to like Florida or change?
I don't know where he's doing or what he's doing. He's scamming something. We know he's scamming. We know he's getting his money. You know what I'm saying?
He said, I did it once, I'm going to do it again.
100%.
So it is what it is. Yeah. But I do think that there is legitimate fear and a plan for the Republican Party to take away people's rights and liberties.
Absolutely.
My critique is that fear does not remove the responsibility for the Democratic Party or any other party to have a counter to that, right? Correct. And to have that written down and that strategy and that policy and those pieces of legislation being crafted. Right. Because if you're going to say, we're going to restructure, we're never going to have elections again, we're moving into like this theocratic state. Okay, so what are you saying, Democrats? What are you saying, independents? like, what is your 2024, 2025,
right,
2020? Because it can't just be like, we just gotta stop the bad guys. You also gotta like stop the bad guys,
True.
undo the harm, invest in the communities.
But it's hard. It's so the difficulty is like the rhetoric coming from the Republicans is so insanely white supremacist. I mean,
they've always been.
But again, you had a Michigan Republican congressman suggest nuclear strikes in Gaza. I mean, you had this dude say basically, oh, what should we do about Gaza? Get it over quick. Send a nuclear bomb over there.
That's disgusting.
And murder all these people. And to my understanding, like, has he gotten condemned? Has he gotten censored? Are they talking about removing him the way we saw Rashida Tlaib in Congress get censored? I haven't really seen it. So I think like when you see rhetoric to that degree. Go ahead, Miracle. You had some comments that you wanted to make?
You always do this to me.
What? I'm saying what the man said. The guy's name is Tim Wahlberg.
But what is different than what he says and what is actually happening right now? And,
the only difference is nuclear bombs aren't being used, but what's happening right now is
tumult and oppression of Western slaughter.
Right, on a level that we have not seen in our lifetime. You're 1,000% right.
What is different than what he said and what like John Fetterman says all the time about how nothing should be no conditions. No conditions, no nothing.
Right.
Until we get the hostages back.
Right.
He's not. It's all the same. And for me, I am trying to say that we need like the rhetoric. Have you ever been fighting with your siblings?
Yes.
And like one person like takes something from you, and then your parents are like figure it out, like y'all deal with it on your own.
Yes.
That's basically where we are. We are being told to deal with all of this on our own and figure it out.
Right.
We have one people saying we're going to have no rights, and then the other people are like, hey, if this person gets in office, you're going to have no rights. And what I am saying is, I need you to be like, hey, this other person saying you're not going to have any rights.
Right.
But if you vote for me, not only are you going to have rights, we're going to expand rights. We're going to have more rights.
Right.
That's what I want.
We need more than like less harmful. And I think like what we're getting right now is like, oh, you're on one side is saying nuclear weapons, but the other side is like, we're going to send you as many 200-pound bombs as you want. And what we've been seeing with the Democratic side is like, even if we're going to have this stronger rhetoric in public, we're going to just quietly behind the scenes send you like billions of dollars more weapons.
No, I'm just talking about in general, because we're talking like, for instance, we talk about abortion care all the time, right? We see what just happened in Florida with them saying like there was a 6-week ban. So my thing is like, what have you heard of the Democrat strategy for abortion care in 2024, 2025 and beyond? Right, we have to get real about policy and message.
Be careful, Miracle. I'm people have info at One Hood's email address, and they will write you a book response.
But what I'm saying is the messaging is missing from the Biden administration about what their plans are. Right,
absolutely.
You can write books, white papers all the time, but you have to sit there and say, "This guy is bad," but this is what I'm going to do to make sure this bad guy doesn't get in office.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm going to do when I'm in office to make sure what this bad guy wanted to do can never happen. And we're missing that last part, right?
Yes.
I think that what we've seen in Gaza for the past, even the 24, 48 hours,
crazy.
The strikes on the aid workers,
the World Central Kitchen, which was founded by Jose Andres, the famous chef who sent his chefs over to Gaza to cook meals for the people in Gaza that desperately need food right now. As we're watching so many people, more than 50% of the population starving, they get killed during airstrikes for simply wanting to do some humanitarian aid. So that happened in the last 24 hours. And we definitely, send our love not only to them, but all of these people in Gaza that have been killed, that are suffering right now, and calling for an end to it. We've been calling for a ceasefire, but continuing to do that.
But what we're seeing, I think, is an actualization of what happens when you don't have policy and you just have platitudes.
True.
And I think we are at this point where we need to have policy. We need to have power behind policy. And we need to be able to sit there and say, what is it that we need to feel safe right now? What is it that we need to feel safe in 6 months? what is it that's going to keep us safe in 2 years, 3 years? Because I don't think having our freedoms to be like, are you going to be enslaved this year? Are you going to be enslaved in 2027? Is going to be the way to go for the rest of our lives. And so we can't keep being in this. It's almost like an abusive cycle of like every election is the most important election. If this election doesn't happen, you literally can be in like, literally we could like I could be in jail within the next 6 months, right? But when you think about what we're talking about, we can't live like that. Is not sustainable as a country, as a people. We have to find a way to codify these rights and somehow move on from being this divisive society. You had something to say?
I feel like you say that every week, and we're just every show we get further away from your.
No, that's a fact.
Your wonderful world that you want to live in, Miracle.
So the question I would have for you, Miracle, and then the viewers is Trump such a large distraction for the Democratic Party that it prohibits them from this long-term game plan, from coming up with an abortion plan, for like a lot of these preventative or rejuvenating practices that we're so desperately clamoring for as voters and as people who do not identify as Republican? Is it because they just can't afford to focus on anything else besides Trump?
I think he's the excuse to not do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Because
you don't have to.
Right. You saw in New York, the governor, she just appointed a judge who is anti-abortion, right?
Correct.
Talking about, well, we need to make sure conservatives feel like they're a part of what's happening within society.
Yeah.
So right now, as Trump's here, there's an excuse. Well, that's the reason why we can't do affordable health care, so Medicare for all. I mean, Trump's right there. Like, how in the world are we going to like have affordable housing? You know, all of these things. I think he's the excuse. And so what you've been able to see is Trump has been able to suck up so much out of the room.
Yes.
That Trump has been able to take so much attention.
He has a strong throat, Miracle.
It grips a little bit. And so
it grips. There's a lot of saliva on that because he sucks it all up.
It has been an ability for Democrats to actually have policies that people like. But we have seen, whether it's been like whole home repairs here in Pennsylvania, whether it has been the legalization of cannabis, whether it has been restoration programs like they have in Michigan, fair wages like they have in Chicago. Once people start putting out progressive policies as progressives, people's cities get better.
True.
And people get really excited and get more
better
engaged.
For whom?
No, they do get better. But again, but Miracle, how do you then reconcile? I mean, we have a progressive, a congresswoman here, Summer Lee, the first black congresswoman in the history of Pennsylvania, right? That we were able to vote in and make history. Somebody that has stood with us, been on the front line of these progressive movements, that has brought a lot of resources back into our community. But you have this, and we mentioned Jeff Yazd, this Republican billionaire donor that's putting money into her opponent, a quote unquote Democrat, right? Who's taken, millions of dollars from Jeff Yazd to try to defeat this progressive politician that many of us, black, brown, poor, white, Jewish communities kind of came together to elect. Now, how do we defeat a billionaire that has unlimited resources, that is not only supporting Donald Trump, but also now sending his millions of dollars into a race that it directly affects you and I?
I think organized people will always have to fight organized money, number one.
Yes.
But when we talk about Summer, I think people forget that she had to win and fight every single race that she has won.
True. That is true.
That she would never got the endorsement from the local establishment.
Absolutely correct.
People have spent millions of dollars against her.
Yes.
And then she was running for Congress, they redrew the districts to not only put her out of district, but her mother and her family members out of district.
I forgot about that. They did do that.
And then once she still won a nomination, still wasn't doing the endorsements, then was encouraging and supporting a challenger that had the name of a previous challenger. And then only because it was so close in Pennsylvania where people forced to endorse her. And let's be very clear. People did not canvass for her. They did 1 or 2 tweets and a little video, but were not out there on the campaign trail with her. And then they realized she's one of the top vote getters in southwestern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And when she's on the ballot, more people come out.
Absolutely.
When people have not ever traditionally supported her, to the fact that she had to start her own PAC so that she could mobilize and galvanize other people in southwest Pennsylvania.
Lodge up Summer Lee, man.
Because of her, there are more women in the state legislature. There are more women on our judicial benches, and there are more women supported throughout Pennsylvania, even when they do not even support Summer.
Right.
And so this is something that we have to be very mindful of, is that there are billionaires, and I just did an interview with this, and I don't know if it's going to be published or not, but there are billionaires whose whole entire personality is to make sure that we do not have what we need to live and thrive.
True.
And they literally spend
that's
all
crazy.
their time buying people so that they can destroy our communities for the fact that they can line their pockets. They destroy our communities. Our loved ones go to jail and get incarcerated. They're invested in the prison systems. They destroy our schools. Our children get forced to go to these charter schools that these people have invested in. It lines their pocket. They destroy our environment and they force us into these jobs to work for them that build these bombs that kill black and brown people in the global south and
crazy.
that they're invested in. It's all connected. And what we have to keep fighting for is saying, you know what, this system that's not designed for us, this system that's meant to kill us, is a tool that we have to build liberation, and we're going to keep putting people in positions of power.
That's right.
So our world can be easier while we engage in mutual aid and community building to build our liberation and our freedom. And that's what we're seeing, you know, whether it be going on with Summer, whether it be what's going on, you know, with Nick Saval, you know, right now there is even, I always say his name wrong, but there's a judge who was being nominated for the Third Circuit.
Yes.
His first name is Adil, and simply for the fact that he's Muslim, he does not even have enough votes to be put on the circuit. 2-3 years ago, lawyers who were deemed unqualified by the American Bar Association got votes.
Absolutely.
This Muslim man who is deemed exceptionally qualified,
a miracle.
who I just want to put is beyond DEI, who earned it, still cannot get enough votes.
I was going to say the DEI was them white folks that was unqualified.
Right?
They didn't earn it.
This is what we're dealing with, and it sucks that we have to spend resources to fight, but when we don't vote, then we have to wake up and our healthcare is gone and our schools are gone.
Absolutely.
And we can't make music and we have noise ordinances. And so it just sucks that this is the world, but I'm hoping that if people mobilize this year, we can get enough people in office, but enough is enough.
Yes.
Get these majorities up and down the ballot and just move on.
Absolutely. And so take that, Perry, okay, in your 12-page email that you had for Miracle. Speaking of that, we do have our blackmail segment.
We need to get a soundbite for blackmail.
We do need like a little sound for blackmail. Our first blackmail is for Michael Tucker. It says, big up. This Week in White Supremacy is the best show that I have found on Free Speech TV. To this day. Come on. I watch Free Speech TV every day and look forward to catching your show. You all discuss topics in the way that I can relate.
Let's go. Come on.
Life can be tough for the oppressed, discriminated, and marginalized people globally. Keep thinking critically about global issues and persist in applying your critique to the conversation that shapes the narrative. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Michael Tucker. You know what I'm saying? Some good. Yes. Big up. And we have one more. From Melvin Robinson.
Hold on. I think we can bring it in like this.
Herschel Walker played football when the helmets were soft.
Oh my God.
Why?
That's the blackmail?
Why? I don't get it.
His egg is scrambled.
What does that have to do with blackmail?
Because it's usually angry black people that write us.
Okay. No, listen. Melvin Robinson. All right, starts off.
I'm nervous.
I am a 70-year-old black man.
The shirt says blacks for Trump.
I am a 70-year-old black man. I'm learning so much more about our race and culture and about myself from watching your program each week. Come on, Melvin.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Man like Melvin.
Come on.
Man like Melvin. Wagwan.
We can all learn from each other no matter the age. Being older doesn't entitle anyone to the quote know it syndrome.
Come on.
Y'all are smart and sharp, and I admire all of you. Y'all make me feel so proud to be a black man. So many of our elders with negative comments have the yes massa syndrome. Ooh. Come on, Melvin.
Okay.
And can't grow or be prideful. Keep doing the fantastic work you're doing. The truth will set us all free. Thank you all so much. Shout out Melvin Robinson.
That's
Come
the
on,
blackmail we love to get.
Come on,
That's
man.
the blackmail right
You
there.
owe my man Melvin an apology.
You do owe Mel. You thought Mel was
When you tried to bring it in.
Well, I mean, normally our blackmail,
Yes.
and Melvin watches the show, so he
Yes.
knows that we have a specific caliber of people.
Yes. But the Melvins of the world got our back.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
See, Miracle, all older black people don't want to come and fight us.
That's cool. But
In the show.
I don't know what Perry was. I forgot what they said they were.
Yeah.
I think they said they were Italian. And they had sent
Yeah,
this
Perry-
other blackmail.
yeah,
and they
Perry-
said I was wrong because I said Biden didn't have any
Miracle
ideas.
Miracle had time
But
today.
I just wanted to point out.
Biden had ideas at one point. He just forgot them.
Let me talk. Because Perry, you were wrong.
Yes.
You said Biden had new ideas because he had a black vice president and a black woman on the Supreme Court. And I just want to point out that She Will Rise and April Rain and other black women who ran progressive voting rights groups basically told Biden if he did not put black women in positions of power, they would not endorse him or turn out the votes for him in 2020 if you go back into your Googles. So Biden did not come up with that idea. He was basically galvanized and pushed to have these ideas because he is someone who basically does what he has always done, and it's up to us as the electorate to kind of push him to do things that are better for our community. And I don't like to argue with people, but I just wanted to point out that you were grossly incorrect. And next time, you can just send me a paragraph, not a whole book.
Yes.
And don't be passive aggressive and be like, you can respond to me on your platform or not, when you knew I was going to do it anyways. So just making sure that you understand when you come for me and my opinions, make sure they're rooted in the facts and not to be argumentative for no reason.
That is Miracle Jones Esquire for you, Perry.
Put some respect on her name.
Put some respect on her name. With that being said, we have our white pages of the week. Do you want to talk about our white pages, Trouble?
Yes, because I read the back of this and I didn't realize that this was what it was until I read it. So if
You just gonna keep rubbing it in your face, in my face, that you could read?
I mean, of course.
First of all,
you rub it in our old audiences.
Come on.
So
Yes.
Mercury
Anyways,
popping.
so this is a very special book to me because this is a poetry book. As a poet myself, I'm very excited to see this is Tank from Tank and the Bangers' debut poetry book.
Oh, wow.
Vulnerable as fuck.
Yes.
I didn't know that until I read it. And
There you go. Reading this
so
shit.
Vulnerable as fuck, it has a wide range of poems ranging from different sizes and different forms and stuff like that. All accompanied, not all of them, but some of them accompanied with cool pictures for niggas like you.
Yes.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
So you
saying?
got your pictures.
Yeah, facts. And I just want to large up Tank because she's Grammy nominated.
Yes.
And decided, you know what? I'm going to put out a book full of my poetry to show people my vulnerable side. And that's the route that I'm on right now.
Absolutely.
So this is inspirational to see, and I'm very in love with this book. I'm going to be reading this. I hope that you
Vulnerable
read it as well.
AF. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. The perfect book as we enter into Mercury retrograde, right?
Yes.
Over the next. And then for those that follow us, if you want to see us this week, we will be at the White Privilege Conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We will have our podcast set up. So come holler at us if you want to see us in person. But please come with that Melvin energy, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, if you want to holler at us.
Please.
Any last words, anything that needs to be said?
I would also like, because it's really easy to talk shit over the internet. So if you do have anything to say that isn't like a Melvin, I challenge you to say it to our faces.
No, not our. There's no. You can say to their faces. I'm a snowflake.
I'm okay with that.
But
I'm
also,
a snowflake. I like my piece in my circle.
Speaking of Grammy nominated, we just put the blast out this morning. We will have Black Thought of the Roots coming to Pittsburgh April 14th. That's a Sunday afternoon. And registration includes a copy of his new book, The Upcycled Self. So we got Black Thought coming. We got his books coming.
Is there an audio book for that?
I'm sure there is. We're going to have an actual physical copy of the book.
I mean, we're good. That doesn't help me out.
People, Politics, and Power, April 14th. It will also be at Be Social, April 8th, which is the last day to get registered to vote. We'll have Caribbean Vibes food truck with us. We'll have giveaways. We'll have a lot of love going on. That's Monday, April 8th. Meet us at Social Status, aka Be Social in East Liberty, and get registered to vote.
Also, this Friday, while we're in Tulsa, One Hood will be present at the CMU International Film Festival.
Absolutely.
Performing at McConomy Auditorium at 6 p.m. before the showing of a film called Lost Souls.
Absolutely. And shout out to our brother Jordan Montgomery, who also is going to be moderating. You know, One Hood is just everywhere, all over the place. You had some more stuff to do?
Yeah, I read the comments for our Black Thought Facebook post, and I just want to let y'all know Black Thought is a person, the artist. The fact that y'all are calling us racist.
Wait,
because
what
they're
happened?
Promoting Black Thought.
Yes.
It is
my days.
being.
Are you serious?
That is a DEI rapper, Miracle.
He is a human being. I said, what are all these comments? I said, oh, we popping out here. He is a human being.
Yes.
He is an artist.
He's an artist.
This is once again,
yes,
the fact that when he did his freestyle and y'all lost your mind. It's 2024. I need you to learn.
Correct.
Like, oh my God. I was like, why do we have all these comments on social media?
Crazy.
But you know, it's cool to be vulnerable.
Yes.
It's also cool to show your thorny side, which I like. So if you don't want to be vulnerable, don't.
Yes.
And yeah.
So with that being said, thank you all for listening. It's been another incredible episode of This Week in White Supremacy. See y'all on the road this week. Peace, y'all. One Hood.